weather this week's been relatively mild and pleasant for the most part. We're still getting loads of Canada geese commuting through here. Crows also commute through here in a big way. It seems that the sanctuary is located right at the flyway intersection. This is where they split, and some continue south and others go west. Raptors have it tough this time of year. Most of them are migrating through rather than commuting. So not only are they in unfamiliar territory, but they have to make it through there without being harassed by crows, which is difficult to do. This red-tailed hawk is not having much luck. And neither is this one. The crows all seem a little overzealous in their mobbing behaviors, always ready to strike at the first sign of distress. But every now and then, a raptor can make it through here unmolested, such as this sharp-shinned hawk. Chickadees are also gathering in larger flocks, and they always seem to be hungry. They follow us through the sanctuary, begging us for free handouts of birdseed. Lately, we've been getting fox sparrows through the sanctuary. Since they breed in the far north, they are one of the later songbird migrants. They are on their way to the southern United States. They typically prefer brushy thickets, but are known to frequent bird feeders. Fox sparrows are large-bodied with thick bills, but regionally, the plumage is highly variable. There are 4 distinct subspecies. Most subspecies are a sooty gray color, but here in the east, they are this foxy red, in which they get their name from. One of the great things about the foliage falling is that it reveals nests that were previously concealed. This one probably belonged to bald-faced hornets. Under a rock this week, I found some common black ground beetles, members of the Pterosticus genus. They are common throughout North America, under stones and logs in moist woods and gardens. They come out at night to hunt for caterpillars and other soft-bodied invertebrates. These will live for perhaps 2 to 3 years. The relatively warm weather brought out some caterpillars, such as this woolly bear and this giant leopard moth. The caterpillar of the giant leopard moth can be easily distinguished from other similar black hairy caterpillars by the red bands running down the body. When the caterpillar moves just right, these red bands can be seen. Or when they get frightened and curl up into a ball. This caterpillar found its way into our shed. It will probably make its way back outside to burrow deep down into the ground and pupate. It will emerge the following spring as a beautiful white moth with blue-black leopard spots on the wings. While doing the afternoon rounds one day, I stumbled upon a vole. Voles are heavy-bodied rodents with short limbs and short tails, blunt muzzles, small ears and eyes, and like other rodents, their incisors grow continuously throughout life, but unique to them is that their molars also grow continuously. This is beneficial to them since these herbivores eat a lot of abrasive grasses that would otherwise destroy the molars quickly. The closest relatives to voles are lemmings and muskrats. They all belong to the subfamily Arvicolinae and can be found throughout the northern hemisphere. Voles are quite interesting little animals and have recently been the subject of animal psychology experiments. Just this year, Emory University out of Atlanta, Georgia, published a study suggesting that moles, specifically prairie moles, have the ability to empathize. Like many voles, the prairie voles are a social species. In the experiment, the researchers would remove voles from the colony, and some were subject to torture, such as mild shocks and loud noises, while the others were not. And when these voles were returned to their cage mates, the voles who had been tortured received more grooming from their cage mates than those that had not been. And interestingly, the stress hormones of the cage mates were just as high as the stress hormones of the voles who had been tortured. Furthermore, the excess grooming and the stress hormones stopped when the voles were given an oxytocin inhibitor. Oxytocin is a hormone known to be involved in human empathy. Now, I by no means condone the ethics of this experiment. However, I do see the value and perhaps the intent of the experiment to give hard scientific evidence to something that many people intuitively know to be true. Animals are capable of higher emotions, even that such as empathy. This specific species of vole we are looking at is the woodland vole. This species is common in forests with loose soil and lots of leaf litter throughout much of eastern North America. They are also common in apple orchards where they are known to wreak havoc on the crop. They spend most of their time under the leaf litter and in shallow tunnels that they dig, rarely more than 3 to 4 inches deep. Much of what is thought to be known about their social structures is not yet verified, but through observations and comparative analysis with similar vole species, much can be inferred. Many adults share the same tunnels, and nests are known to be shared by multiple mothers. And because other voles are known to form monogamous pairs and live in small family groups, it is probably safe to assume that woodland voles are a gregarious species, living in small family groups in close quarters with other family groups, perhaps even working together to accomplish tasks. Now, woodland voles are active both day and night, but it struck me as odd that this one ran in continuous circles so far out in the open exposed to predators. So after some research and some conversations, one in particular with a wildlife rehabilitator, it seems that this rodent is sick. It has likely been exposed to a pathogen known as leptospirosis. Leptospirosis is a spiral-shaped bacteria. Leptospirosis diminishes the function of livers and kidneys, and in severe cases causes neurological damage. The continuous circling of the rodents is a classic symptom of this disease, and it most likely indicates that it doesn't have much life left. Many animals are susceptible to this disease, including livestock, dogs, and even humans. Leptospirosis is most often spread through feces and urine. After long rains, when the soil is saturated, there are often outbreaks of this disease. It can stay alive in the wet soil for weeks or maybe even months after a contaminated animal has urinated there. A likely culprit would be a raccoon. Every week now, the mosses seem to be coming more alive. Here is some pleated foxtail putting out spores. And some baby tooth is also sporing. The oil spill is spreading. And the purple fire is even putting up the purple spores it is named for. And the oil spill moss on this stump has some beautiful yellow fairy cups and purple jelly drops mixed in. Both are types of sac fungi. This jelly mold was found, and so were some witches' butters. And here are some late fall oysters, which don't emerge until after the first frost, which we've had. I'm having trouble confidently identifying some mushrooms, but I did take some spore prints, which turned out pretty well. A spore print that turned out just okay. And then these that turned out to just look like greasy blobs. And here's some more unidentified fungus for the week. And that wraps up another great week at the sanctuary.